Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, man. I saw the Joe Namith interview on one of those white ran media outlets. I guess it was Fox. And I listened to Joe Namith speak, and he had some interesting talking points, but I didn't agree with mostly anything he said, because at the end of the day, he still was wrong. Because people keep saying you can't protest at the job, and that's a damn lie. First of all, like I said, if you decide to walk out your job because of unfair business practices and you go on strike, where do you strike in front of? Your job. So actually, you do have the right. Now, you can't do it inside the property, but you can do it outside the property, by the property. So actually, you can, protest near your job. Because at the end of the day, first of all, another thing people need to understand, first of all, protesting the flag is not protesting your job. Your job is to play football, so technically you're not protesting your job. You're protesting a global and world issue. So that's where the contradiction stands once again. It starts once again. And see, Joe Namith set himself up for me to counter that argument. So when you hear people say you can't protest in front of or on the workplace, that's not actually true. You can protest around the workplace, because actually the actual workplace is the damn football field or the basketball court. So technically, if you're not on the basketball court protesting, or the football field protesting, or the baseball field protesting, actually you can do it. See how easy this shit is? See how easy it is to debunk white people and their talking points? As I said before, I know union and labor laws. I know it to the T. I know it. And no matter how much you idiots try to side with Donald Trump and try to act like you know what the fuck you talking about, you really don't. I wish you white people would stop thinking that you're smarter than everybody, because you're not. Not even close. Not even in the ballpark. You gotta understand something. Just because certain people's dialect is different from yours doesn't mean that you're necessarily smarter. Like I said, I don't have to use a bunch of big words to get my point across, because at the end of the day, it doesn't mean shit. When you try to call yourself using these big fancy words, it sort of seems like you're already intimidated by what I'm about to bring to the table. It's almost like you're trying to prove how smart you are. When you try to use the fancy words and everything, I know what they mean. And I can talk like that if I wanted to. But why? Sometimes the smaller, easier words help you get your point across a lot quicker. Because sometimes when you use those big words, you have to go all into why you use those big words to explain what they mean. So basically, you're missing the whole talking point of your argument, if you catch my drift. But anyway, as of what Joe Namith was pertaining to, couldn't have disagreed more with what he was saying, except the fact about he doesn't know what it's like to be black. Because like I said, it's easy for motherfuckers to tell somebody, what to do and how to react to a situation. But when you've never lived that situation or been in that type of situation, you need to shut the fuck up and listen. And white people's biggest problem is they love to talk and hear themselves talk, but they don't want to listen because of their superiority complex that they think they have that they really don't have. White people have shown they could be just as shallow as hell. No, I'm just keeping it 100. I'm just telling it how I see it. Maybe if white people wouldn't be so self-absorbed, they would understand. But at the end of the day, they're not trying to understand, because when you created a system that benefits you, and where it's always going to be in place for people that look like you to benefit from a system that you created, then of course you're going to think it's all good. Okay, keep in mind, the system that we got in place was created, pretty much a few hundred years ago. So the people that created it, they made it for them. they wasn't thinking about anybody else when they created it. They was pertaining to them. You know? So that's what people got to remember. When you think that you're better than everybody else and everybody else is beneath you, it's kind of hard to get out of that mode that you've been conditioned to believe in. So, I mean, at the end of the day, guys like Joe Namith, I don't ever truly expect them to understand 100%. But that was okay. He said he doesn't know what it's like to be black. Like I said, most of you don't. As I said before, a lot of you motherfuckers watch these black movies and shit and think that you have an understanding of black people when you don't. It take more than watching Boys in the Hood, Cornbread Earl, and Me, and you know what I'm saying, shit like that, to get an understanding of black people. Like I said, maybe if you guys would start listening and doing less talking, maybe we could come to some kind of common ground, but that'll never happen because you too busy making it all about you and making it seem like your opinion is the only opinion that matters. But anyway, man, I just wanted to give my take on the whole Joe Namith interview. I didn't agree with pretty much anything that he said, because you do have a right to protest unfair conditions on a job, and don't let anybody tell you different. Like I said, you get a lot of these clowns that come on here thinking they knowing what the fuck they talking about, and they don't. You know, and then when you ether their ass, then they come with the typical fake talking points. Oh, you're just intellectually not on my level and shit. Well, if I'm not intellectually on your level, why you keep responding to every fucking thing I say? Right? They always say that shit, oh, you use too much slang and all that type of shit. And they say shit like, you talk too ghetto for me to understand and comprehend. Okay, well, if that's the case, if I'm too ghetto for you and I, you know, use too much street slang, then why the fuck are you here? Why are you here? Obviously, I said something that was comprehensive enough for you to respond. And then my favorite part is when people say, oh, you guys are too emotional. Obviously, you're emotional because you responded to something that I said. So obviously, you got caught up in your feelings because you made a comment. I get that bullshit all the time from these silly ass white people and a lot of these ignorant ass Mexicans. When they say that stupid shit, you guys are caught up in your feelings. Because, you know, like I said, a lot of Mexicans try to act like they down, but then they secretly want to be white, just like, you know, a lot of coons. So they talk a good talk, but then a lot of times they don't walk it. So, you know, I'm just keeping it 100. So let me move on. I'm out.